Good morning, class. Today we're going to continue our discussion of genetics and we'll look specifically at cancer as a genetic disease. I have it divided into two parts. We are only going to complete part one today, and our discussion will focus on what exactly is cancer, what are tumors that may be cancerous tumors, what distinguishes them as cancer, what is the process leading to cancer, and then we'll end by looking at some of the statistics in the past and in the present to see how we're progressing in our treatment of cancer. Part two, we'll look at some of the specific genetic mutations that lead to cancer. First of all, a question that many times we have is, what is cancer? And the answer is a simple one, although the disease is extremely complex. And the answer is, it is a malignant tumor. A malignant tumor. And a malignant tumor is defined as an abnormal growth in which the cells can spread. An abnormal growth in which the cells can spread, the cancer cells. That word for spreading is called metastasizing or metastasize. A benign tumor is defined as a non-cancer. It is a growth, but it is not a cancerous growth. By definition, a benign tumor, it cannot metastasize. An illustration of the difference is shown here in this picture, and we can see that a malignant tumor can move to other sites primarily through the bloodstream as it escapes from wherever it originated. A benign tumor stays localized. A question many times individuals have is, will a benign tumor become a cancerous tumor? Generally not. It is it's sort of an it depends answer. You have to look at the specific cancer. Generally things like polyps and fibroids and moles are not something that will be a future cancer, but that's not to say that it has not existed as a precancerous growth. So some of these benign growths may be followed very carefully, but their treatment may be something as simple as what is called watchful waiting, or it may involve a removal, but generally doesn't require anything more than that, and it can be a significantly less concern and worry than a malignant growth that can spread. Here we see in this photo a classic example of what we might define as a mole that reflects a growth of cells that remain localized and do no particular damage to that area. I should mention, however, there are situations where a benign growth, because of its location, let's say within the brain or within a restricted location where it presses on nerves or blood vessels, can create an unintentional harm, and it may require some sort of intervention. But our discussion is going to focus on those cells that spread to distant site and disrupt the function of vital organs, because those cancer cells lose the ability to function properly and disrupt the normal function of whether it be a kidney or lung or prostate gland or whatever it may be. Now, for many years, we did think that cancer may be a condition that simply occurred, as many conditions do as aging occurs, because there is no doubt that cancer is a disease of aging. If we graph the incidence of cancer against age, for sure, age and cancer is related. That is a certainty. However, we also know that there are cancers that affect the very young. Those cancers have a genetic link that is unique to them, but generally it is fair to say that cancer is a disease of aging. However, that process of cancer began more than likely at a much earlier stage. And while this picture seems unimpressive, the concept is one that has been around now for a while, but has really changed our view of thinking about cancer, early detection, what do we look for, what are risk factors. So what are some of these early steps that take us from normal to cancer? And this axis might be decades of our lifetime, right? We might run up those stairs a little faster if you're a cigarette smoker versus a non-smoker. So there are certain things that might increase that risk. There could be certain genetics that increase their risk. there could be interplay of environment and genetics. So as we'll come to learn, mutations are going to play a key role in this story. Just very quickly here, in terms of looking at the estimates of cancer, estimates in 2009, 11 years ago, were lung, prostate, and colon as the highest incident in men, and lung, breast, and colon in women. If we fast forward to 2018, 11 years later, lung, breast, colon, and prostate are the top 4, and mortality or death is lung, colon, stomach, liver, and breast falls to position 5. Mortality is death, so that tells us that while the incidence of breast cancer may be high, the mortality is lower. Lung occupies the top position for incidence and mortality. Well, that is the end of part 1. We will begin part 2 of our discussion by looking at mutations when we next meet. Thank you.